Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. Ubisoft has got to be in full-on damage control mode when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows, with one issue after another, one controversy, one criticism after another, things that can be seen as culturally insensitive, a buggy mess, borrowed artwork from modern day and other franchises. It seems to be one thing after another that they keep putting their foot in their mouths. Recently, I did a video on Ubisoft tells players, oh, you can skip the vast majority of Yasuke. You don't have to play as Yasuke. You can just play as Nawe for the entire game with a couple of exceptions. I kind of see that as not necessarily a positive thing because that takes away from replayability. And what else do we have here? Sparks fears of financial collapse and alleged investor deception. Confidence in Ubisoft seems to be plummeting left, right, and center. If you go look at the Paris stock market, Ubisoft stock prices in 2021 went from roughly $85, over $80, to a current day of $11.22, or I guess euros, that would be, whatever Paris, their currency over there. It's astonishing to see how much of a fall a single company can take in just, well, 4 years. Despite all of that, article comes out. Ubisoft says, because of course they would, why on earth would they say anything else? I believe they just had an earnings call recently where pre-order numbers are solid, right? They're absolutely solid, which actually could be true because how many people who are fans of the entire franchise, how many quote-unquote normies even follow the nonsense on YouTube and X and the like? How many of them are going to genuinely care that the main protagonist is Yasuke or play as Nawe, and the main protagonist is not a Japanese native in feudal Japan, a video game set in feudal Japan? How many of them are actually going to notice the difference, the possible difference in architecture or the swords or the banners in the game? More than likely, probably not that many aren't even paying attention to it. Could this game sell gangbusters when it releases in, well, just over a month? I do believe so, but will it sell what Ubisoft is hoping for? Can it save the company? I highly doubt it. But all that being said, Ubisoft apparently is confident on releasing the game on March 20th. Because of course they are. Insider Gaming sources, oh dearie dear, you're using sources, Insider Gaming. Apparently that's a dangerous thing to do, but anyway, I'm being a little facetious there. Developers are now confident that Assassin's Creed Shadows will launch on March 20th. Now, there was a little report that came out recently that the game might be a little delayed, and that was you can call it a troll, a lie, a scam, a gotcha, and you can have your opinions on how it was done and the people who reported it, and that it is what it is. But me personally, I don't think, well, how do I put this? I would probably fall on the floor laughing if, within the next week or so, they announce the game gets delayed again. Is it possible? Yes, of course, anything is possible. Is it probable based on Ubisoft's fiscal year? I highly doubt it, because my understanding that they moved it to the very last minute, and essentially the 11th hour release date, to be able to be positive for their fiscal year. If they delay it one more time, the cost and confidence that this would cost Ubisoft from the market, from investors, would probably be a point of no return for their downfall. Back to the article. Never say never of another delay. How many times? I mean, it's easy enough to speculate. It's easy enough to believe that another delay could happen, but I don't think they're going to. There's too much riding on the release of this game. Ubisoft has made preparations to increase its marketing of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Are they going to hide Yasuke? Are they going to remove him completely from the advertising? Is that puppy dog ever going to let Nawe pet him? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Increased marketing of Assassin's Creed Shadows ahead of the March 20th, 2025 launch, including finalizing the embargo dates for the game's reviews. Reviews will be live on March 18th. 2 days. I believe, didn't they take away the pre-order early access for this game? Y'all correct me in the comments. Speaking with several developers working on the game, do you have insiders too? I'm sorry, I'm going to run with this joke. Have a sense of humor, ladies and gentlemen. They said that they felt confidence that it would be ready for its March release date, with one source stating that the game is now pretty much done. How many times have we heard that? What this statement means is, what was it the Avowed director said? A janky mess on release. With Ubisoft's track record, and especially comparison to their more recent game of Star Wars Outlaws, I wouldn't hold your breath, folks, on how well this game is going to run. As mentioned during Ubisoft's latest earnings calls, Shadows is currently on par with that of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Why wouldn't you compare it to Valhalla? Or did Odyssey come out in between that? Valhalla, I read, that has sold 20 or 30 million units since its release, which, I mean, for anyone that believes that, for a AAA title, that's definitely pretty good. So, hopes, what do you think they're hoping for? 5 million within the first week, 10 million within the first month? I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Here's the quote. Early previews have been positive, praising its narrative. Ooh, now who, well, early previews. So, early previews to the people you flew out to Los Angeles, the people that you let tour the facility in Paris and play with the little weapons and props and everything out there, or maybe the real stuff. Early previews from those individuals that, heaven forbid, would actually be honest in their reviews. No matter how much they claim to have integrity, they lack it in droves. Because Access Media is going to be Access Media. You're not going to get the next preview if you don't follow the narrative. You don't follow the script and say exactly what we want. But they're not bought and paid for. Of course not. It's not bribes. It's not money. It's favors. It's swag. It's stuff. It's trips. A whale watching tour. A trip to Disney. But they're definitely not bought and paid for, ladies and gentlemen. Early previews have been positive, because they have to be. Praising its narrative, of course they're going to, because, well, anyway. And immersive experience with both characters playing critical roles in the game's storyline. But wait a minute. Hold on a second. How can they both play a critical role if you don't have to play one over the other? Somebody help make that make sense to me. Although, based on Ubisoft's statements over and over, consistently with this game, they've flip-flopped time and time and time and time again. So this shouldn't surprise anyone at all. Both characters playing critical roles. Maybe not so much. Maybe an exaggeration. In the game's storyline, as well as the quality, the game bugged out during a developer preview. It bugged out. It glitched. You couldn't pet the dog. But yes, quality. Complementary of the gameplay provided by the dual protagonist approach. Yes. It's from Guillemot. Of course it is. Talking out of his ass again. Guillemot said in the most recent earnings call, at the time of writing, Shadows currently has around 300,000 pre-orders. Okay. That's pretty good, right? That's just the pre-orders. Everyone else is going to wait. Thankfully, y'all, please keep doing this. Stop pre-ordering video games. Vote with your wallet. Wait for trusted, maybe even non-access media types, non-early access YouTubers. I'm not saying they're all bad, but if you're not putting your money where your mouth is, if you're getting the game for free, early, from the developer, I think your opinion should be questioned. Period. Day one player numbers. Let's see. Odyssey's day one player numbers were around 400 to 450,000, a gap of around 100 to 150,000, because yes, we know how to math. That needs to be made up in the next 4 weeks. In comparison, we're going to compare this to Star Wars Outlaws? Yes, please do, because I think it will not surprise me if one is just as buggy of a mess as the other. A game that failed to meet Ubisoft's expectations. Well, maybe if you'd have done a better game. Had less than half the pre-orders. Shadows. See, this is what I'm talking about. You would think the Star Wars brand would just be printing money. But unfortunately, thanks to Disney, the Star Wars brand has fallen pretty much almost off a cliff as far as interest goes. A Star Wars video game used to just be an immediate buy for fans across the board. Whether or not you're a video game fan, a Star Wars fan, it was an immediate buy because you knew, hey, Star Wars jumping back in, can't wait to see it. Star Wars Outlaws failed. You couldn't get enough pre-orders at the time. Less than half the pre-order Shadows currently has in the same time period. What makes this worse, what makes this even worse, is that Ubisoft canceled the pre-orders last year because it was so many problems after another. The buggy mess, whether or not you believe that they went back to cooking the game because they wanted to change things, they wanted to adjust things, they wanted to remove Yasuke's importance from the game. Whether you believe that or not, that's on you. That's up to you. You form your own opinions, ladies and gentlemen. But they still canceled it. Returned pre-orders. Pre-orders went to 0. And yet, here we are a month away and they've jumped up back up to 300,000. I think that says something for the fan base of Assassin's Creed IP versus the Star Wars IP. Assassin's Creed fans have a lot more faith in Assassin's Creed than the Star Wars fans do. Interesting. Let's see. Currently has the same... where was I? I'm right there. Less than half the pre-order Shadows currently has in the same time period before it launched. It was said. It was said. I guess we have to take that with a grain of salt, perhaps. Looking at the data, if Shadows continues the same trajectory as Odyssey throughout launch, it's estimated that the game could sell approximately 3.5 million units. Nothing to shake a stick at, but I believe the amount of money that they spent with multiple delays, I don't think that's what they want in the first month. I can imagine Ubisoft wanting closer to 5 million units. Is that possible? We'll have to wait and see. Valhalla, which was the series' most successful Assassin's Creed game, had some 8 million players. 8 million players. It's interesting that they would put 8 million players instead of 8 million units. Why is that terminology used? Players does not equal units sold. It never has and it never will. The number of people playing, especially if you have something like any sort of monthly subscription pass where you can play the game without buying the full game. This is important. We need to pay attention to terminology. With more than 65% being attributed to past generation consoles at the time. Will you be buying Assassin's Creed Shadows? Me personally, no. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since 1 and 2. So that's on me. I just like talking about it because it's so much fun. Ubisoft crashing and burning, full-on damage control. And yet, of course, naturally, they're going to be confident in, especially if the 300,000 pre-orders or anything. I think that's good. Again, especially considering they canceled them all. Canceled all of them. And again, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. There is no early access benefit. I'll have to go check the $130 price point for cosmetics in a single player game. On top of that, the ability to pre-order the Helix coins, whether or not, I know the website in the UK has it, but I couldn't find it on Best Buy again. But the idea, I still have a problem with the idea. You have a $130 price point, whether it's early access or putting an additional quest behind a paywall or with the cosmetics and all the extra stuff. It is, my understanding, a single player game. Stop paying that much. Just stop it. It's a single player game. You're the only person that's going to see your character. Why are we spending money on cosmetics in a single player game? Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just my old fart mentality. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Does Ubisoft have a chance to recover after this? Such a massive plummet in stock prices. can the optics of the studio of the game overwhelm and overshadow the popularity of the Assassin's Creed franchise? We'll have to wait and see just over a month from now on March 20th how everything goes. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Leave a like, leave a dislike, and do all those nifty little things that YouTube is begging you to do. And I hope to see you on the next one.